Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Super Show. Top story this week is, of course, Origins Game Fair. I'd say the first major convention outside of Grand Gathering where SRG Universe and Super Show the Game made an appearance. There were multiple events and new products released. Let me go through the events first. I'll go through these in chronological order. There was also one major championship match that I'll touch on too. I will start Thursday with the first event. While Origins Game Fair is a 5-day convention running from Wednesday, June 17th through Sunday, June 21st, there were no Super Show events on Wednesday. SRG Universe did have 2 spaces, a permanent play space in the gaming hall and a booth in the exhibit hall. Product was sold at both locations. Most of the products were available at both, but some were exclusive to one space or the other. The gaming space, though, is where all of the events were held, with the first event starting on Thursday at 1 p.m. All of the events Thursday, Friday, and Saturday started at 1 p.m. or 6 p.m. The Sunday event started at 11 a.m. The first event was a singles tournament. 18 players participated in the tournament. There were 4 bullet rounds, and after those 4 bullet rounds, there was a cut to a top 8. Everyone with a record of 3-1 or better made the top cut. In the quarterfinal round, we had Just Doug as the memes dealer taking on Robert the Brain Dunn as leader of the Black Sheep. We had Colin the Chrononaut as Romeo 3000 taking on Funtime Bob as the original version of Funtime Bob. We had the Corrugated Cardboard Villain as Elroy Majestico Jr. taking on myself as King Hyena. And we had Sherry Von Danish as Sherry Von Danish taking on Ricky Riot as Tommy Stelwa. The winners advancing to the semifinals: Robert the Brain Dunn, Funtime Bob, the Corrugated Cardboard Villain, and Sherry Von Danish. In the semifinal round, both matches were New York Rules matches. They started at crowd meter 1, and there were no disqualifications. Sherry Von Danish as herself versus Corrugated Cardboard Villain as Elroy Majestico Jr., and Funtime Bob as himself versus Robert the Brain Dunn as leader of the Black Sheep. The winners advancing to the finals: the Corrugated Cardboard Villain and Robert the Brain Dunn. They square off in a main event stipulation match. The match goes all the way to crowd meter 3, with the winner at level 3, the Corrugated Cardboard Villain. Congratulations to the villain for winning the opening event of Origins Game Fair. That night, there's a 25-player tournament. 5 bullet rounds, World Division and Underworld Division competitors booked. After the 5 bullet rounds, there was a cut to a top 12. 4 players received buys directly to the quarterfinals. The remaining 8 played for the last 4 spots in the quarterfinals. In the quarterfinal round, we had Pride playing as Pride versus the Director of Operations, Dave Marisak, playing as Highwater. We had 12 Grat Matt playing as Lord Graves versus Colin the Chrononaut playing as Gangrel. We had the Frequent Flyer as Flip Gordon versus Michael Kirk, yours truly, playing as the original Theo the Greek Neo. And we had the collector Sean Loeb playing as the Chosen One versus Matt Nealon playing as Matt Nealon. The winners, Pride, Colin the Chrononaut, Michael Kirk, and the collector Sean Loeb. So, we advance to the semifinal round, all New York rules matches. The first matchup is Pride versus Colin the Chrononaut as Gangrel, and the collector Sean Loeb as the Chosen One versus myself as Theo the Greek Neo. The winners meeting in a Raven's Blood Cemetery Finals match. Colin the Chrononaut and Michael Kirk. I make the finals. This was a relatively lopsided match, although each player hit at least one finish in the match. That went all the way to Crowd Meter 2 with the winner, Michael Kirk. I won the Thursday night singles event. Now, normally at a convention event, and I'm going to include Grand Gathering with this, there's a World Championship tournament. Unfortunately, this year, there was no World Championship tournament. And so when I look at the tournaments, I look at the primetime tournaments, the nighttime tournament. Of the three tournaments, and I'll talk about the other two later, the one that has the most open card pool, the one where there's the most diversity of play, the only one to allow spectacles to be used, was the Thursday night. And so, while there was no Worlds tournament, this is the main tournament of Origins. Now, I've won the World Tournament at Gen Con, and I've won the Worlds Tournament at Grand Gathering, so this is my third main convention tournament win, considering Gen Con is one, Grand Gathering as the second. This is the third. I don't know how many people there are that have won the main tournament at major conventions, multiple different ones. I think I'm one of the few in that. That is a career accomplishment I didn't think I was going to have. I know this isn't a Worlds tournament, but it's possible based on the way they formatted this, we may not see a future Origins World Tournament. This may have to be how we count Origins going forward. We'll have to see. But I won. I'm very happy to have won. I faced some great competition. Colin Simons, multiple-time champion. The Collector, one of the very few players of the era that we have in our game. I squeaked into the top cut with a 3-2 going from memory, and I just got hot at the right time. Sometimes that's all it takes. I got hot in the quarterfinal match and just rode that all the way to the finals. My semifinal match was not very long. Finals match, a little longer, but not by much. And I'm happy to have the career accomplishment on my resume. I don't have a lot of great accomplishments, certainly not compared to a lot of people in this game, but this is one I didn't expect, and I'm happy to have achieved it. Let's go ahead and move on. That was Thursday. Friday, afternoon event. Another singles tournament, World and Underworld Division booked. All other singles competitors legal, subject to 2020 vision. 21 players played in this tournament. There were 4 bullet rounds, and after those 4, they cut to a top 9. 7 players received a bye into the quarterfinals. The remaining 2 faced off in a New York rules match for the last spot. The 2 players in the play-in match were Ricky Riot, playing as Brawl Duke, and history-making Matt Pineapple, playing as Lissa Langnit. The winner advancing to the quarterfinals, Ricky Riot. In the quarterfinal round, all the matches were standard singles matches. Those matches were Ricky Riot as Brawl Duke versus Colin the Chrononaut as Zombie. Joe as newly released Velvet Assassin Indie Hunter versus Just Doug as Just Doug. Sherry Von Danish as Danhausen versus 12 Grat Matt as Sarnai Bayanti. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm not 100% on that. And the final quarterfinal match, the Meeple as the new version of the Meeple's champion versus Corrugated Cardboard Villain as Bjorn the Norseman. The winners, Ricky Riot, Joe, Sherry Von Danish, and the Corrugated Cardboard Villain. They advanced to the semifinals. In the semifinal round, all of the matches are kendo stick matches. In the first match, we have Ricky Riot as Brawl Duke versus Joe as the new Velvet Assassin, and Sherry Von Danish as Danhausen versus the Corrugated Cardboard Villain as Bjorn the Norseman. The winners advancing to the finals, Ricky Riot and Sherry Von Danish. They square off in a Psycho Circus match. In the Psycho Circus match, there are no disqualifications. At the start of the match, each player can search their deck for 3 cards and put those 3 cards on top of their deck. This finals match ends up going all the way to Crowd Meter 4. The winner, winning the first Friday event of Origins, Ricky Riot. Congratulations to Ricky Riot for winning the Friday afternoon tournament. Friday night, there is a Super Lucha Create a Competitor tournament where the winner will be able to create a competitor in Super Show the Game. Players had to use competitors that use the Super Lucha art style. Competitors made for Super Lucha. Competitors, the 1 through 30 cards in the Super Lucha art style, and they had to use one of the only 2 entrance cards made for Super Lucha. There are no Super Lucha spectacles, so no spectacles could be used. In addition, the Super Lucha rules were in effect, meaning a player could not play a finish if the opponent had not yet won a turn. 27 players played in this tournament. There were 5 bullet rounds, and after those 5 bullet rounds, they cut to a top 14. 2 players received a bye to the quarterfinals. The remaining 12 played for the other 6 spots in the quarterfinals. There were no stipulations in those play-in matches. There were no stipulations in the quarterfinals or in the semifinals. In the quarterfinal round, we have the End as Vanilla Gorilla, and all of these are the Super Lucha versions of those competitors. Some competitors have a Super Lucha and a non-Super Lucha version. These are all Super Lucha. We have the End as Vanilla Gorilla versus Ricky Riot as Soberno. We have the Director of Operations, Dave Marisak, as El Super Hombre versus the Collector, Sean Loeb, as the Collector. We have Robert the Brain Dunn as Hex versus Hollywood as Vic de Doom. And we have Funtime Bob as Snake Pit versus history-making Matt Pineapple as Draculina and Calliope. Now, some of those competitors may be in the World or Underworld division in this Super Lucha tournament. All Super Lucha art style competitors were legal unless those competitors had been used to win a Create a Competitor tournament before. So a competitor like Baby Chaos, which had won one of those tournaments before, could not be used in this tournament. The winners advancing to the semifinals, Ricky Riot, the Director of Operations, Robert the Brain Dunn, and Funtime Bob. We have Ricky Riot as Soberno versus the Director of Operations as El Super Hombre, and we have Robert the Brain Dunn as Hex versus Funtime Bob as Snake Pit. The winners advancing to the finals, Ricky Riot and Robert the Brain Dunn. They face off in a Super Lucha dark match. Same rules as all the other Super Lucha matches, but spotlight cards are blank, and discard piles are not public knowledge. Normally, you can ask to see what cards are in your opponent's discard pile. You could not do that here. Normally, an opponent would have to show you when they move a card from the discard pile to another location. They only have to do that if they're limited by what kind of card they can move. If they're limited by card type, lead, follow up, or finish, or move type, strike, grapple, or submission, they have to prove they're moving that type of card. But if there's no type restriction, movement of the cards out of the discard pile is not public knowledge. The opponent does not get to know what that is. The finals match ends up going to Crowd Meter 2. The winner winning the ability to create a competitor in Super Show the Game, Ricky Riot. Congratulations to Ricky Riot for winning the event. He has already decided that the competitor will feature Ricky Riot and Crash Out. Crash Out is a character created by one of our Super Show players, someone who's been playing for many years, Eric Roth. It's going to be in a similar vein to Aerial Lipstick and Scrappers, but it will feature Ricky Riot and Crash Out. Congratulations to Eric Roth for getting a competitor based on him made into Super Show the Game. This is also the second event that Ricky Riot has won. He has won all of the events on Friday at Origins. Congratulations. That is a great accomplishment. Saturday, afternoon event, tag team event. It's a double elimination event. Super diversity is in effect, meaning if multiple tag teams are using the same competitor, as long as both of those tag teams have the same record, they remain in the tournament. The moment one of those teams has a better record than the other, the team with the worst record is eliminated from the tournament. Before I get into the details of this tournament, I will mention that one team in this double elimination tournament was eliminated after only one game because of super diversity. I don't know if that's great to do at a convention. I feel like for certain convention events, there should be a minimum number of games. And in a double elimination tournament, obviously the minimum is 2 games. I don't know that taking away the second game is a good idea. For something like Grand Gathering, where it's only Super Show play, that makes sense. But for something like a convention tournament with multiple games being there, multiple companies, could it be discouraging to somebody signing up for a tag event, knowing that they might only get one tag team game, and they essentially forwent any other game or event or activity that they could have done to do this, and to only get one game? I don't know that that's great. But 10 teams, double elimination. The finals result was the team of the Bulldogs, Robert the Brain Dunn as the Bull, and Ricky Riot as the new version of Overdog, versus Hollywood Thighs, the Lethal Endorser as Johnny Gargano, and Hollywood as Nick Nemeth. The Bulldogs were undefeated going into the finals, so Hollywood Thighs had to win 2 games to win the tournament. The first game went to Crowd Meter 2, the winners forcing a second game, Hollywood Thighs. So whoever won the second game would win the whole tournament. The second game ends up going to Crowd Meter 3. The winning team at Crowd Meter 3, the Bulldogs. Congratulations to Robert the Brain Dunn and Ricky Riot for winning this event. This was Ricky Riot's third tournament win. Winning multiple tournaments at a convention is always a big deal. Congratulations to him for getting 3 at Origins Game Fair. While this tournament was going on, there was a match for the Hollywood Heavyweight Championship. Now, I have not covered what happened on Ignite this past Friday. I'll talk about that later on in the show. But during Ignite on Friday, there was a match made by Rambo Apocalypse for the Hollywood Heavyweight Championship. The Italian Bombata would challenge current champion, the Fixer, Bob Odell, for the championship. That match went down Saturday at Origins. The champion with General Manager John Clace, the second version. The challenger challenging with Shaggy Shark. The match goes to crowd meter 1. At crowd meter 1, the match stops. The Italian Bombata questions why he's in the match, why he's doing what Rambo Apocalypse wants him to do. And the match ends. It ends in a no contest. It just stops cold. I believe the Italian Bombata is aligning himself with the Fixer. I'm not 100% sure on that. That is my best understanding. Saturday night at Origins, there's an old school create a competitor tournament where the winner will be able to create a competitor in Super Show the Game. You had to use a competitor that was released as part of the cards in the old school waves. There are some old school competitors that are in that division but came out before old school packs were a thing. Those are not eligible. You have to use the competitors and finishes that were released in those waves. You also have to use cards from a limited card pool. In this case, the card pool was cards from the 10th anniversary box set or cards from the newest wave of old school packs. You had to build your decks out of that. There are 1 of 3 entrance cards that you can use going from memory. Those cards are Jump the Bell, Keeping the LFF Old School, and Toe to Toe Showdown. 23 players played in the tournament. There were 5 bullet rounds, and after those 5 bullet rounds, there was a cut to a top 9. 7 players received buys into the quarterfinals. The remaining 2, HR as Overgiver and Chugonomics as Dickie Finesse, faced off for the final quarterfinal spots. No stipulation in the play-in match. The winner advancing to the quarterfinals, HR. In the quarterfinal round, all of the matches were old school steel cage matches. Same rules as a standard steel cage match, with one exception. In a standard steel cage match, the maximum hand size is 6. In the old school, it's 8. In the first match of the quarterfinals, we have the Lethal Endorser as the Stone versus HR as Overgiver. We have Robert the Brain Dunn as the Heartache Kid versus the Frequent Flyer as Brewmeister. We have Funtime Bob as Quadruple H versus Ricky Riot as Sticky the Salamander Sailboat. And we have Michael Kirk as Elroy Majestico Jr. versus 12 Grat Matt as Lawman Nick. Now, some of the names of the competitors I read out, Quadruple H, I believe, and Heartache Kid, just going from memory, are not currently in the old school division. They're currently in the World or Underworld division. For this tournament, that did not matter. All cards released in the old school waves were legal, except for competitors that have been used to win Create a Competitor tournaments in the past. Just wanted to get that out there. The winners advancing to the semifinals were HR, Robert the Brain Dunn, Funtime Bob, and 12 Grat Mats. While this tournament was going on, we had our only LFF Championship match, a match for the LFF Global Championship. The challenger, Lethal Endorser as KJ Impala. The champion, the Collector, Sean Loeb, champion with Swaggle. This match doesn't go past crowd meter 0. The winner, still champion, the Collector, Sean Loeb. Congratulations to the Collector for a successful defense. In the semifinal round of the Old School Create a Competitor tournaments, all of the matches were old school steel chain matches. Same rules as a standard singles match, except the maximum hand size is 6 cards instead of 10. In this round, we had HR as Overgiver versus Robert the Brain Dunn as the Heartache Kid. And we had Fun Time Bob as Quadruple H versus 12 Grat Matt as Lawman Nick. The winners advancing to the finals, Robert the Brain Dunn and Fun Time Bob. They square off in a main event stipulation match. This match does not go past crowd meter 0. The winner hitting a finish at crowd meter 0, Fun Time Bob. Congratulations to Fun Time Bob. He will be able to create a competitor in Super Show the Game. I'm not sure what competitor he will be creating. I know that he's been talking about creating a competitor based on his son. I expect we will see that competitor coming at some point in the future. Sunday. Only one tournament on Sunday starting at 11 a.m. A tag team tournament. 8 players signed up. Those 8 players were randomly given a partner, randomly paired up, and those 8 players, the 4 randomly created tag teams, are placed into a double elimination tournament. In the finals match, we have the tag team of Doug Russell, a relatively new player, playing as Polly the Pigeon Picone, and former PAX Unplugged tag team tournament winner, Jared Bridge, playing as the new ELF. Their opponents, the tag team of Chugonomics, playing as the Great Onimon, and the Corrugated Cardboard Villain, playing as the Corrugated Cardboard Villain. Chugonomics and the Villain were undefeated going into the finals, so Doug Russell and Jared Bridge would have to win twice to win the tournament. The first match of the finals goes to crowd meter 3. The winners at crowd meter 3, Chugonomics and Corrugated Cardboard Villain. There's no need for a second fall. They run the table and win the tournament undefeated. Congratulations to Chugonomics and the Corrugated Cardboard Villain. The Corrugated Cardboard Villain wins the first and last event of Origins. Great way to bookend the weekend for the Corrugated Cardboard Villain. Those were the scheduled events for Origins Game Fair. There was an unscheduled event, and what I mean by that is this. The players that signed up for the event were responsible for playing their matches throughout the weekend. That was the Origins Scramble event. 10 players signed up for this. They had to have a singles deck, a Tornado Tag Team deck, and a Trios deck. It was a single elimination event. It was up to you to play your match as given to you through the Super Show scoring app. If you won, you kept playing. If you lost, you were out. At the end of the Scramble event, there would be a single Scramble winner, a Tag Team Scramble winner, and a Trios Scramble winner. To my knowledge, the winner of the Singles Scramble event was the Italian Bombata as Spencer Vance, the Boatswain's mate. The winner of the Trios Scramble was the Italian Bombata as the Good, the Bad, and the Whiskey. And according to the app currently, The winner of the Tornado Scramble event was the Italian Bombata, playing as double the fun. Last I looked, there were still 4 players left in the scramble when I left Origins. It was the Italian Bombata, Chugonomics, the Corrugated Cardboard Villain, and Pride. But checking the app, it looks like that's been updated. I don't know how accurate that is, but as of right now, it is showing that the Italian Bombata won the entire Origins Scramble. Congratulations to the Italian Bombata for winning. There might be some controversy here because the Italian Bombata organized the entire scramble, created it. Will there be? I don't know. Either way, congratulations to the Italian Bombata. As of right now, it looks like a clean sweep scramble winner. There was also apparently, and I didn't catch any of these, some Play True matches for the Play True Championship defended as a 24/7 championship at Origins Game Fair. Walking in as the champion was Bobby Ohio. I believe that the champion at the end was the East End Enforcer. I have heard some story, I have not been able to confirm this anywhere, that there's video of the East End Enforcer throwing out the Play True Championship belt, rejecting the championship. That's unconfirmed. I'll give you more when I have it, but that's just the scuttlebutt I have right now regarding what happened revolving around the Play True Championship. That's what I have for competitive play for featured matches for tournaments at Origins Game Fair. As far as products go, all of the competitors that I talked about, the 12 competitors that were releasing at Origins Game Fair, they all released the way they were supposed to. The new game 27 came out. I was able to play a demo of it. It's a fun game. $10 is what they were asking for at the Super Show booth in the exhibit hall. And from what I understand, that game sold very well at Origins. I did not get to play that Ink Tensions game that was posted about. That's not an SRG Universe game, but they sold it at the SRG Universe booth. If I can, I'll try to check that game out, maybe at Gen Con. They were selling a lot of Super Lucha sets, both the multiplayer, the 4-player box set, and the solo mode. They had the Matt Cardona versus Brian Myers Major Wrestling box set. They had the new Big Shot versus the Rising Sun box set. All that was available for sale. Rummy Gummies, Scally Wager, plenty of mystery boxes, stipulation packs, old school packs. They had some singles cards available for sale at the gaming hall. Baby Chaos and Sister Sledgehammer were available in the exhibit hall. Those were the only products I'm aware of that Super Show was selling, that SRG Universe was selling. Let me correct that. That SRG Universe was selling that are not on the website. Everything else, except for Ink Tensions, because that's a different company, all the other SRG Universe products are available on the website, including one I didn't expect. Tomato Jr. debuted at Origins Game Fair. It was purchasable at the convention, and it is apparently on the website, although I have heard that it's only on the website through the end of Origins. So if you're hearing this, you're interested in buying Tomato Jr., check the website as soon as possible, because it may get pulled by the time you hear this and go to make a purchase. If you want to check out those releases, you can look at the supershowthegame.com website. Everything that I'm aware of that came out at Origins outside of the Baby Chaos and Sister Sledgehammer, which didn't come out at Origins, they're just con exclusive. But all of the new releases are available individually. They're available as a bundle. The daily promos are up there for purchase. I believe the new prize cards are up there for purchase as well. Check out supershowthegame.com if you want to see what those cards do and if you want to buy them. All of the competitors outside of Tomato Tomato Jr. that debuted at Origins Game Fair are available individually, and they're available as a bundle last I looked. As far as my general thoughts about Origins Game Fair, I always enjoy getting to go to things like this, getting to see everybody again, hang out, play Super Show, play other games. It wasn't as big on the Super Show side as it's been in the past. I suspect that's largely because of how close in proximity it is to Grand Gathering. It's been, I would say, a month, maybe less, since Grand Gathering 6. It's a lot to ask people to travel to Ohio twice within 4 weeks. So I understand if a lot of the people who made it to Grand Gathering did not make it to Origins. Outside of Grand Gathering, Origins has been the more favorable con as far as Super Show the Game goes. And I'm talking about major cons like Origins, Gen Con. I'll even throw PAX Unplugged in there. Origins traditionally has been the most favorable con as far as play space, as far as things of that nature. There were some changes to the way the con was run. More specifically, security. They did bring in metal detectors. That was the most obvious change from previous years. The badges have changed. The badges no longer have your name on them. I'm not sure I like that change. Those were the most noticeable things to me. I do like to check out what's in the dealer hall. I didn't really see anything new that interested me this year. The most interesting thing to me was there's a company called XP Network. It looks like they schedule tournaments and things for other games. They were doing kind of a LARP activity, kind of a fantasy LARP activity, where if you progressed through the LARP to a certain degree, you did like an escape room type puzzle tournament. 3-room escape room experience. I did enjoy performing those activities. That was probably, outside of Super Show, the most fun activity I participated in. And it was all free, too. There was no dollar cost associated with any of those activities. That won't be at Gen Con. It will be at Origins next year to that degree. It should maybe be at Gen Con next year to that degree. It will not be at Gen Con this year like it was. It might be there in a very, very small scale, i.e. 1 or 2 people walking around giving out LARP-type quests. LARP stands for Live Action Role Playing. That was Origins Game Fair. I think it went pretty well. If there was one thing I would change, I might do an event Wednesday, a very casual event. But outside of that, I don't really have any complaints about how Super Show the Game was run at Origins. I think it ran very well. I think the Italian Bombata, Chris Pagillo, did a great job running events. Let's talk about what else happened revolving around Super Show the Game outside of Origins Game Fair. First, we have an announcement regarding the 2025 Create a Competitor competition. We've reached the semifinals of that competition, and we know what the first semifinal match is going to be. It's going to be a match between the dude and the beekeeper. It's going to be the meme round. Here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a post put up on the SR Universe Facebook page. If you want to vote for the dude or the beekeeper, you'll post a comment on that post on their Facebook page. If you post a hashtag, and they'll give you a hashtag for the dude, and they'll give you a hashtag for the beekeeper. If you post a hashtag for one of the two, they'll be credited with 1 point. So if I wanted to vote for the dude, I'd find the Facebook post. I'd post maybe hashtag the dude, not saying that's the hashtag, just making up an example. If I wanted to vote for the dude, I'd comment hashtag the dude. The dude earns 1 point. If I wanted to vote for the beekeeper, I might do something like hashtag the beekeeper. That earns the beekeeper 1 point. If I want to score additional points on Facebook, I could post a meme for the beekeeper. I reply to my previous comment, and I post a meme for the beekeeper. That scores 2 points for the beekeeper. Or I post for the dude. That scores 2 for the dude. I can post a GIF for either one. 3 points for a GIF. And then finally, I could post a video for one of the two. 4 points for the video. So a voter can essentially give 10 points to the person they're voting for on Facebook. Each item has to be a separate comment. Ideally, you would essentially make your first comment the hashtag, and then all of your other comments would be replies to the first comment, or you could reply to your first comment, reply to your second, reply to your third, hashtag I'm voting for this guy, reply to that, meme for this guy, reply to that, GIF for this guy, reply to that, video for this guy. Ideally, keep them all under the same comment chain. That's the Facebook voting. There's also supposed to be voting on Twitter, on X. Same exact structure. There will be a post on X. You'll post a comment. Hashtag this guy. Then reply to that with the meme, the GIF, the video. Same point structure, up to 10 points through Twitter. And then there should also be voting on Instagram. Instagram, I know that you can do the hashtag. I think you could do the meme or GIF as well. You cannot do the video. I am not 100% on that. The match is supposed to start next Wednesday, June 24th, after Talk of the Universe. So around 10 p.m. Eastern, June 24th. Per Pat Mulligan, as of right now, card subject to change, the match will run 5 days. Voters will have 5 days to vote in all 3 social media locations for the person they want to see advance to the finals of the 2025 CCC. One last thing before I talk about the online tournaments and featured matches from this past week. There's been an announcement regarding the LFF World Heavyweight Championship. The next defense for the current champion, Press 1P, will be July 5th. July 5th, the champion will be defending against the Origins World Tournament winner, Split. I expect that will be on a future episode of Sunday Night Fights. And now let's talk about the online tournaments and featured matches. I'll start Monday with Monday Night Fights. 10 players played in this Underworld Division tournament. World Division competitors booked. All other singles competitors legal, subject to 2020 vision. There were 4 bullet rounds, and after those 4 bullet rounds, there was a cut to a top 4. In the semifinal round, all of the matches were New York rules matches. The finals match was a Raven's Blood Cemetery match. Your top 4 were in 4th place, playing as El Frenetico, the chosen one, Colby Crane. In 3rd place, playing as the real beater, the Starbreaker, Trey Cantrell. In 2nd place, playing as King Kong Dundee, Robert the Brain Dunn, and the winner of Monday Night Fights, playing as Tommy Stillwell, Zach Ashley. Congratulations to Zach Ashley for winning Monday Night Fights. Thursday, we had Thursday night fights, also an Underworld Division tournament. 16 players played in 4 bullet rounds, and then they cut to a top 8. In the quarterfinal round, all of the matches were New York Rules matches. In the semifinal round, all of the matches were kendo stick matches. The finals match, and possibly the third place match, were Strike Club matches. The top 4 were in 4th place, playing as Chris Bay, the greatest story ever told version, the Cheetah. In 3rd place, playing as King Brian Cage, the Centipede. In 2nd place, playing as El Frenetico, the Chosen One Colby Cram, and the winner, playing as Rambo Apocalypse himself. Congratulations to Rambo Apocalypse for winning Thursday night fights. Friday, there was an episode of Ignite. Only one match on the card for Ignite. That match was a match between the Mad Custodian, playing as Stung, and the Wise Man of the Dirty Jurors, playing as El Phantasma. This was a special guest referee match using one of these special guest referee cards created by Practicite, George Driscoll. The match ends up going to crowd meter 3. The winner, the Mad Custodian. Congratulations to the Mad Custodian for winning the only match on Ignite. There were also a number of announcements that happened on Ignite. We found out that Titan, who lost a match to leave Ignite at Grand Gathering, is back as an ambassador on Ignite. We found out the announcement I discussed earlier, where the Fixer had to defend the championship against the Italian Bavada. We found out that Sundown Moon has been assigned to Ignite. She'll be one of the featured wrestlers on Ignite. And we found out that there will be a future match between the Misfits and Bobby Ohio. That is the news coming out of Ignite this past Friday. Sunday, we have Sunday night fights. Only one match on the card for Sunday night fights. A defense of the LFF Trios Championship. The champion, the big guy, champion with brain trust. The challenger, the Starbreaker Trey Cantrell, challenging with my own creation, Ursus, the Wrestling Bear. Before the match starts, though, there is a twist. Possum King, who is currently the holder of the Trios Cookies Fortune that he won, I believe, at Grand Gathering, cashes that in, joins the match, makes it a Triad Trios Championship match. He joins using the competitor Dirty Jurors. So it's the big guy attempting to defend against Trey Cantrell and Possum King. The match ends up going to crowd meter 2 for, from what I recall, pretty good stretch of the match. The action is mostly back and forth between the Possum King and the champion, the big guy. But the Starbreaker does a good job taking advantage of the turns that he does win, and he ends up hitting the finish at crowd meter 2, winning and becoming the new LFF Trios champion. Congratulations to the Starbreaker for becoming the new LFF Trios champion. There was a lot of commentary during the match about the fairness of this format because the Starbreaker, Trey Cantrell, and Possum King are tag team partners in the tag team King Trout. So in a sense, this became a handicap match. When the Starbreaker hit the finish at crowd meter 2, the only way the big guy could break out is with save rolls from Possum King, which he declined to make. A rough situation for the big guy in his first attempt at a defense, being placed in a triad bordering on handicap match. It's things like that, though, that makes Super Show Game the most unpredictable card game in the world. The next challenger for the LFF Trios champion will be Bobby Ohio. As far as things coming up for next week, I mentioned the next match in the CCC will happen starting next Wednesday. We'll have Monday night fights. It will be an Underworld division event. Next Sunday night fights, we'll have 2 matches. A match for the LFF Veterans Championship, where Gene Kenny will challenge CQ for the championship, and an LFF Tri-State Tag Team match, where the tag team of Candyman Dan and the Penguin, that team will take on the champions Boom Pool, Brian, wait for it, Schmidt, and the Italian Bombata. We should have Thursday night fights on Thursday. We should have Expanding the Universe Thursday midday. We should have Dojo Tuesday night, twitch.tv/SRGuniverse. I expect we'll have Stacked Card this Wednesday. I'm not 100% on that, on the Big Picture Premium Twitch channel. And last but not least, we'll have the Saturday Night Rumble Tournament of Champions, where past Saturday Night Rumble winners will be in a tournament. They will play until the finals match, and then the finals match will be featured on a future Sunday Night Fights episode. With that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening, and good day.